Hello, welcome back to Keter Gaming. This is the second episode here in the new Farming Simulator series. Mills County is our map, and last time we left off, I had just bought our starting equipment. We still got quite a bit of money, but that's because I haven't bought a harvester yet. And so we're going to probably hang on to most of that money, at least through this episode, and see if I can find a good harvester mod to purchase. What we're going to do today is get started on some of the field work. It is raining, oops, and so my tractor's already gotten super muddy. But I just tried this out here to see if we'd be able to do this in the rain, and it does look like it's going to let me cultivate in the rain. And so we're going to go ahead and get started on our cultivating. As you can see, we've got, just as a reminder, field 17, 18, 14, 13, 16, and 9 here that are all for arable crops. I think I said 18. 20 is a grass field. If I come back out here. And so we'll definitely be doing some grass and figuring that out, even though we haven't quite yet started the cows. We might start building up some of that, knowing that maybe at the end of the season we'll want to start cows and get some stuff in the barn ahead of time. Now I know Seasons does have grass and hay and things rot if you leave it out in the field or somewhere unprotected, so I think we have to bale it and store it somewhere. I don't know if the Giants barn mod works with Seasons or not, so I'll do some research on that before we get into grass. Because if I come back here, turn grass on temporarily, it's just nowhere near ready to harvest, right? That's more of a summer thing. Oops. So we're going to go ahead and turn that back off, and we'll get started with some cultivating here. So I'm going to be doing this manually. I do use the GPS mod from time to time, especially for things like this when it's a nice straight field. So we are going to use that. Just time to time. I did pay for the GPS upgrade on the tractor, see? So I got my green star up there. So, semi-realistic there, I guess. And this thing seems to be pulling this, this disc pretty well. We are getting off just a little bit. Pull over here manually. The field's curved anyway. And we will try to get that better aligned for our route back down the field. It's pulling really good. Oh, let's go ahead and get that corner better. And we'll see if I can get less obsessive compulsive about stuff like this as time goes on. So let's go ahead and get GPS set up, because I think we're just going to go back and forth down the longer sides of the field here. We need to tweak that ever so slightly. And yeah, so I turned GPS on when I was at an angle, and it always drives me nuts because now I can't get it to be like perfectly game squared. But whatever. So I'm liking this tractor so far. The disc is pulling really well with it. It's appropriately sized. If I push in here, I can get inside. Oh, it's even got a little monitor there. Really basic cockpit. Like, there should be some more detail. The mirrors don't work, some of that kind of stuff, but quite honestly, I don't spend that much time inside the cockpit anyway. So I'm pushing all kinds of buttons because I'm trying to figure out, there we go, how to get back out here. Oh, and I lifted the disc too early. Oh well, we'll get it when we're gonna do the headlands after, so. Or maybe I'm doing them now. Well, let's just get this corner while I'm backed up weird. And we'll go back down here. and we'll just make rounds. This is a really short field, so it's not going to take that long. And so I am not sure how all this season stuff works yet still. I've been doing a little bit of reading here and there. Why are we going so crooked? Let's try that out. And so I'm pretty sure that this symbol up next to the temperature means that I cannot plant right now because it's too wet. And so we need to figure out what we're going to plant. And so like I said in the last video, I think we want to do hogs. I did actually work briefly on a hog farm, so that'll be fun. I do not have a great desire to do sugar beets or potatoes, which I think are one of the two is required for hogs. And so we'll try something. We'll have to do something, and so we might just do a little field, something, maybe even this field. This would be a good field for potatoes. Potatoes or sugar beets, right? But I don't think we're going to I don't think we're going to buy the equipment that we would need to do that. I think we're going to end up leasing like a sugar beet or a potato harvester when the time comes. Because A, they're expensive, and B, if we're only going to do a small field like this, that's just enough to just enough to feed our pigs. I'm just going to clean up this little spot here. It's driving me nuts already. And we'll do the headlands at the end. So, anyway, back to what I was trying to say. I think we will do a small field like this for something like that, just enough to feed the pigs and not really worry about buying all of the appropriate equipment. So we'll probably just lease something and do that in an episode, get it planted, and then when we need to harvest, we'll lease something just for the harvest. And that way we're not putting a huge investment into a bunch of equipment that we really don't need that much of. And quite honestly, I find sugar beets and potatoes infuriating because all of the equipment is just so narrow that you would be there doing that forever. So we are going to run into this telephone pole on the way back. I actually really like, though, that they've got stuff like that in the game because it's more realistic. You always run into stuff like this where you've got a telephone pole out in the middle of a field with a little grass island around it. So I'm just gonna go around like this, go back around in like this, and maybe we'll go back and clean that up. Maybe we won't. I don't think it really matters that much. Just lift up here at the end. Get turned around. So I think that's what we're gonna do. And I really like the idea. So if I look at the different fields, like 16 here, we started with this one because it was the smallest. I just wanted to get a feel for how this was going to work out before we committed to a much larger field. And so I think this is working out pretty well from a size of the plow for the tractor. And it's a good size field for some potatoes or sugar beets. And we'll have to look at what hogs require. Actually, when I play single player, pigs is the one thing that I don't do a lot of. I keep calling them hogs because that's what we always call them, is a hog farm, not a pig farm. And so I'm not really familiar with them so much in Farming Simulator, so like everything else that we're doing in this, there's going to be a lot of firsts for me as we figure that out, but I think it'll be fun. And we'll see how it goes. So we're gonna clean off here to the driveway, and then we're gonna go do our headlands. So I'm just gonna turn in here, kind of cutting that a little little tight. And we'll give her a run down here to the corner. And then on the way back, we should finish cleaning everything up. Go ahead and lift this up while we turn. And set her back down. Yeah, the hitch on this tractor is just a bit farther in than I'd prefer. Like, if you look down here, I mean, it's probably realistic, but I remember our hitch coming out past the, or almost to the end of the belt, the back tires. Texture's not so great on the back there. Detail's okay, textures are kind of off. So that's just disappointing that the drawbar doesn't come out just a smidge farther there, so I don't keep hitting the tires. Alright, so we finished 16. I think it makes sense to just jump up here to do 14 and 13. Try to see how to get into 14 here, because that's not an entrance, that's a fence. Oh, there's the entrance. So we're gonna, oops, get rid of that. We're gonna go ahead and come in here, and you know what, we're just gonna go ahead and get started here. So we'll unfold this, and we'll turn the GPS back on, and we'll get that rotated out here. And I just want to see if that looks pretty good. Go ahead and lower that. Get rid of the, oops. Get rid of that and do that. All right. And so away we go. GPS is just going to help keep us straight in the field, hopefully. I'm watching to see if we jump over this line. It looks like we're going to just stay hugged onto that pretty close. Over the course of the field, looks like we might be off by like a couple degrees, but that's close enough for me. Next time we launch the game, we won't mess up opening GPS up. And so we're gonna go ahead and lift and turn. And so we're gonna skip some rows just to make turning easier here and work our way around the field. Realistically, back in the day with this old of a setup and inaccuracies in GPS, we probably wouldn't have actually been skipping like this. Well, I take that back. I mean, we didn't plow or cultivate, so when we were planting or spraying, you would and could skip because you just count rows and pull into them. It was useful for cultivating too. We had a old school cultivator, so when I hear cultivator, like this is a field cultivator for prepping the ground in the spring, right? When I always used to use the term cultivator is for really weeding the crops, where you would run it through corn. Like when corn was knee-high, you'd be out there with a cultivator running it through, digging up all the weeds in between the rows, and also we would fertilize at the same time. And so you would get kind of the double whammy. You'd turn the soil over, but you'd also put some liquid fertilizer in along at the same time to give the crop kind of that kickstart. And so we might look for a mod. I know there's some weeders in the base game, which are kind of the similar philosophy, but we might look for a mod or something to more simulate some of the things that I remember growing up. And you know, it was older school farming at that point. I don't see a lot of people doing cultivating on existing crops these days. Although, quite honestly, I don't pay that close of attention. I don't have any strong ties to active farmers right now. I follow a few people on Facebook. I have a few friends that are still in the farming community, but Honestly, farming has changed so much in the last 10 years, 15 years that uh, a lot of what I know just doesn't apply anymore. I mean, the tractors are turning themselves around in the fields these days. I don't even know what purpose the occupant inside has. Okay, so unfortunately, this is the downside of having not come to the corner of the field with before we started doing this. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this corner and just get it cleaned up so I don't have to deal with it later. And we're just gonna freeform drive down the edge of the field here, and we'll have a little bit of overlap with GPS on the way back down, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna finish up this corner, and then I'm gonna start filling in those lanes that we skipped and work my way back to the other side and see where things go. So at this point, I think we're going to try and time lapse the rest of this field. So we'll catch you on the other side. Alright, we are almost done here. I'm just folding this up and bringing it up to the other end to get the headlands on the north end of this field. If I bring this back up. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the time lapse turns out, as that's something that'll be brand new to me. And so I think we're gonna finish up this headland, and then I'm gonna take a peek at what's necessary for the hogs, and we can figure out what we're gonna start planting in some of these fields. And lower. Nope, lower. There we go. Usually it bothers me when modders put a custom image in the lower right hand corner there for the vehicles, or change it in some way, because just I'm so used to seeing the default symbols there. But I actually do like this little miniature John Deere tractor that they've got down there. I don't know why. I like it. Approved. Alright, raise it up here, spin us around. And we're actually going to check the weather on our way back here. Is it this one? Yeah. So, it's raining today. But hopefully tomorrow it will be sunny. But we're going to get rain most of the spring, it looks like. And so I'm trying to figure out the temperatures, if that's high and low or air and ground. Because we really don't want to wait forever to plant the crop. But if the air temperature is going to get down to 38 on Wednesday, like, I'm trying to figure out what we can and can't put into the ground right now. So I got 16 and 14 plowed. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get a start on 13 here. We're probably going to end up going around the outside of 13, so I'm going to go ahead and just stick this here for now. And let's get it lined up so that when I come to do this job later, it's all ready to go. Alright, we're all ready to go. So we're going to shut this, we're going to put the disc down, or shut this tractor off, and we're going to take a look at hogs. So if we go to animals, pigs, they're going to need water, straw, corn, wheat, barley, rye, or oats. Is oats new? I think oats is something that they added on this map. Canola, sunflower, soybeans, and then potatoes or sugar beets. So we've got this one covered. We need to do some soybeans. We're going to plant some corn. We're going to plant some wheat, because wheat will also get us straw. And we need some water. So we've got, hang on, let's go back to the map for a second. We got a fair amount of fields. So if I do wheat, soybean, or yeah, do some wheat, do some, because that'll get us a fair amount. Well, maybe we'll do some soybeans here. Soybeans are lower yield. We could do some wheat, get our straw from that, do some corn, and then that would give us those three. So that's straw, that's corn, that's wheat, that's soybeans. That's that. Alright, so we got that all figured out, and then we'll just double up on field 7 will be probably some more corn. Field 18, maybe some more soybeans, just to get a head start on that stuff. If I look at this, oh, we do actually start with a handful of things. No soybeans or sugar beets, or potatoes or sugar beets, but we've got a little bit of everything else. We don't have the straw, though. I'll have to read up on seasons and see if that's going to be a problem for us or not. Just run back over to the farm here. Oh, let's just jump. What I want to check is what things our planter can plant. So it looks like I can do sugar beets with this planter. Wheat, barley, canola, soybeans, corn, sunflowers, sugar beets. So I think we're going to do sugar beets, because then I don't have to get a new planter. I can do everything in one spot. And so we are going to need some different things. I need something to load the planter up with, and I'm not a big fan of doing it with the crates. I've got a good mod somewhere. I just don't have it installed on the server right now. That's like a flatbed trailer that has all of the different fertilizers and things on it. So at least then I can load it up at the store and then bring it out to the field and load everything up. We got the sprayer. And this first year we're probably going to have some lower yields because of the fertilization levels. My hope, I think this server has chopped straw installed on it. Or this server, this map has chopped straw enabled, and we will be able to get some fertilization just from the harvesting cycle. Using chopped straw, it'll fertilize so that in the fall when we till, that'll put it all under, give us our first stage of fertilization. We'll get the second stage with the planter when it goes on. So these are all set up for that. And then we'll come through and do a spraying in the middle of the year and get a third stage of fertilization. So I think we're pretty well set up for that. The other thing I did is I increased the time here to ×5. I don't think I need 9-day seasons with this small of a farm. We might expand. I might pick up one more field. Maybe field 8. Field 8's a nice big field. Let's just double check. What's field 8 going to cost? Field 8 would be 303k. And so if I look here, oh, we actually have a loan. Let's go ahead and pay this loan off since we're sitting on some money. Or save the game. I haven't saved since we started. That'd be terrible. So we're sitting on 417. We could buy this field, take out a loan in the fall for the harvester, and have one more good-sized field to farm this year. It is not plowed, however. But we'd probably just skip plowing. Well, we've got a lot of time. So let's do this. Let's see how far we get on these other fields, and if there's still time in the spring, we can do that. I'm just going to bring up the seasons. I can shorten the season length. What are my options? 6 days per season. 3, 24, 9 is the default. I want to go down to 6 days per season right now just because we're just not going to have enough to do. And then if I look at the calendar, that shortens all this up. So at 6 days a season, I can plant... I could already be planting wheat at 41 degrees. And then that gets me into early summer for that. Sugar beets, I can't start planting until a little bit later, which is fine. But we do have that field already prepped. And it looks like wheat is one of those I can plant winter wheat and then be able to harvest it right away. So I want to get the wheat in the ground pretty early on, and that'll allow me to start getting straw and other stuff. So let's see here. The ground temperature is already 45. Oh, but I can't because it's raining. Although it looks like it's going to stop raining soon. And so just looking at the map one more time here, I think we'll be able to do some wheat in these fields, do some soybeans maybe in these two fields, do some corn here. We've got a grass field, so we'll get some hay, and then we'll probably do corn in this big field 8. We'll go ahead and buy that and do corn in that field before we're done. But for now, we're going to call this an episode. I'll probably do some more of these fields off screen just to get some of the cultivating done. I won't do all the work off screen, but we'll see. We'll see what I want to do. Maybe I'll do a time-lapse video and just do like all the cultivating in a time-lapse and post that as kind of a one-off, and just see how that looks, how people like that, and we'll go from there. And so thanks for watching. Come back and check us out again tomorrow for more videos here on Cultivating Gaming, and we'll see you soon.